Strong storm shreds Central Park. Hundreds of century-old trees lay snapped in half and uprooted throughout Central Park on Wednesday after a severe thunderstorm with winds as high as 80 miles per hour barreled through the city overnight. I've never ever seen a wind of that velocity in New York City, said the park's commissioner. It looks like pictures that I've seen of war zones, where artillery shells have shredded trees. A severe storm swept through the area Tuesday night, snapping the park's famous American elm trees in half, while uprooting many others. One tree lay across the tennis courts at West 96th Street, and a few lampposts stood at a slant after trees crashed into them. A number of parked cars were also destroyed when branches hurtled through the air and landed on them. Steve Sherman, a 50-year-old photographer, cycled through Central Park on Wednesday and counted dozens and dozens of fallen trees all around him. He compared the devastation to the aftermath of a tornado. Central Park is our oasis. It's our only saving grace living in an urban center like New York City. To see Mother Nature up front and realize her power, it's phenomenal. You just don't expect it in an urban setting. Dorothy Landon has spent years sketching the area's towering American elm trees. On Tuesday night, the artist stood by her apartment window, worrying about how the trees were faring in the fierce storm. I heard the screaming of the wind. I heard crashing, she said. I was worried if all those beautiful trees were all dying. On Wednesday morning, she toured the park, looking for her favorite American elm near the tennis courts. She found the elm split in two. It's dead, she said, bursting into tears. Parks employees were cleaning up streets and travel lanes Wednesday, identifying any hazardous areas of trees, of hanging limbs that could still come down. The Central Park Conservancy also brought in emergency contractors. The park's commissioner urged the public to stay away from any trees in the park marked hazardous. He said some of the heavier hit sections, like the North Meadow and the area around the tennis courts, might have to be cordoned off. The landscape has changed forever, he said. The American elm can grow up to 125 feet tall, with a spread spanning 65 feet at the top. The park's commissioner said he wasn't sure if new saplings would ever be able to reach the size and maturity of the trees that were lost. These trees have been here for 100 years or more. Nobody has ever seen such strong winds in New York City. This is something new. This is different. The storm swept in after 2 sweltering days of temperatures above 90 degrees. It was a very severe, strong storm, similar to a microburst. The fast-moving storm was described as a microburst, or downburst, of straight-line winds gusting from 70 to 80 miles per hour, and it was severe in some parts of the city, but unnoticed in others. And while it felled many trees elsewhere, though miraculously, there seemed to be no serious injuries. The sudden, selective deforestation of a wide area of Central Park left at least some users with a surprisingly deep sense of loss. The damage, which was concentrated in the northern third of the park, included pin oaks, American elms, and tulip trees dating to the turn of the last century, a horse chestnut tree near Central Park West at 100th Street, and dozens of other well-loved specimens. Trees in several other parks, Riverside Park on the Upper West Side, Thomas Jefferson Park in East Harlem, and Randall's Island among them, were also significantly damaged. Large tree limbs fell onto the Cross Island Parkway in northern Queens and onto Pelham Parkway near Co-op City in the Bronx. Penny-sized hail was reported in the East Tremont section of the Bronx and in Hoboken, New Jersey. It was the most severe destruction the park's trees have ever seen, most likely. And, once again, there's something else going on here, something more. This is a sign, definitely a sign of the times. And climate change is real. Climate change is already here. It's already happening in ways that people don't even realize or quite understand. At least not yet. And once again, these are more signs of the end times transition days. Transition, it's happening. Day by day, all around the world, in many different ways.